What, Gene? What?
What?
You can attack. You have one Asian American woman of quote color in your cabinet, so you can U.S. citizens to go back to their countries because they're black. It's insanity. I mean, the Republicans, how shameful. Just again, how shameful. I never ever imagined it would get this bad.
You know, I thought it was like 1949 or 1959 all of a sudden. Look, we knew that Donald Trump was racist. I mean, that's not a headline. Donald Trump is a racist. That's not breaking news. But this isn't, you know, country club sort of not our sort of people racism. This is, you know, end of the bar at 1 a.m., go back to Africa kind of racism. You'd have four women of color.
This is David Duke. I said it yesterday, Gene. I'll say it today. This is David Duke racism. And I know there were some Trump suck-ups yesterday that wrote things critical of me saying that. All I said was, you lift David Duke's words and Donald Trump's words, and I guarantee you can put them together. You can find David Duke tweets or quotes that sound just like what Donald Trump's been saying the past couple of days.
Absolutely. David Duke, go back to George Wallace and Lester Maddox. I mean, this is bad stuff. And this is the president of the United States who made, I think, a wrong political calculation, but made a political calculation to go flat out racist, I guess, to energize his base, his aging white base, and draw that line. He seemed to be trying to make more mischief for Democrats. He, of course, had the opposite effect, managed to bring Democrats together who had been squabbling. They're now united, and I want to see Republicans go on record as you know, let them vote today. Let's hear from them. It was a completely disgraceful performance from an organization used to call itself the Party of Lincoln, has forfeited any right to do so in the future. This was just appalling, stunning. I guess not shocking because it's Donald Trump, but we know who we're dealing with now, and this is just flat out racism.
Well, yeah, and it is. And Mr. Chairman, let me go to you. You ran the Republican Party, Michael Steele. It seems unrecognizable to me. We don't have to go back to the 1860s to talk about Lincoln. We could go back to Ronald Reagan in 1989 in his farewell address to America. And what did he talk about? He talked about immigrants, that this party would be strong so long as we remained a nation of immigrants and welcomed refugees to our shores and welcomed immigrants to our shores. And here we are, a party that loves, and a president that loves to embrace Ronald Reagan, doing the complete opposite of what Reagan said they should do when he was leaving the White House and public service.
Yeah, exactly right, Joe. And even while Reagan may have started off at times on the wrong footing, for example, launching his campaign in the heart of Mississippi and calling up some of the racist past of America in that moment, the difference is he learned from that and he corrected and he recognized the greater calling of his office. And the enormous importance of the United States. And I think that's what's missing here. Donald Trump doesn't care about any of that.
Yeah, it is shocking. Sam Stein, tell me, what happens today? What happens next? Are the Democrats going to push that resolution condemning Donald Trump forward? And do you expect any Republicans, other than maybe Will Hurd, to go along with the vote?
I was literally going to say there may be one Republican that could be Will Hurd. The resolution will come today from all the indications. We'll see what the vote tally will be. Obviously, the context here is the comments, but also preceding resolutions condemning Representative Omar herself for her comments. So there is some context here for members voting and contrasting those votes to these ones. And then the other big thing is yesterday Representative Al Green saying that he would bring forward a motion of impeachment tied to these comments, date to be determined. And that's why I think, Gene to a certain degree is right. What Trump has done politically is he's unified Democrats in a moment of intense disunity from this past weekend. But I think that's only temporary, to be honest, because I think there are difficult questions that continue to await Democratic leadership with respect to the impeachment question that will only be resurfaced because of these, and that Nancy Pelosi will have to deal with down the road when a resolution like Representative Green's come forward. I will just say one thing, and not to go on Gene's comments again, but he mentioned that Trump had made a political calculation to do this, and I'm not totally sure that it's a political calculation. I think this is, at this point, it's fair to say objectively that this is a character element for Donald Trump. His history of saying outright racist things or acting in ways that would qualify someone as a racist goes well beyond his presidency. I mean, we're talking about someone who has not apologized yet for calling for the execution of the Central Park Five, who was sued in the 70s for discriminatory housing policies. This is someone who his campaign said that a judge with Mexican roots could not be partial in a case, impartial, I should say. So there's enough evidence at this point to say maybe this isn't political or calculated, but that this is something that is deep embedded in his character, and we should be cognizant of that.
I think it could be both. I think it could be deeply embedded in his character. At the same time, I do think you read Maureen Dowd's column on Sunday morning. He said, oh, wait a second, Democrats are fighting each other. Let me drive a wedge between the two sides, and I'll do it by attacking the four people that Nancy Pelosi's attacking. And yes, he is shrewd enough to know that if he attacks the four women and says the things that he says, that some people will predictably blame Nancy Pelosi for that, which, of course, as Maureen Dowd pointed out, is about the stupidest take that you could possibly have. But it has happened. John Meacham, finally, I think I want to follow up with something Gene said as well, which is I've always told people, because it's true, that politics is a game of addition and not subtraction. You want to make friends. You want to get more people voting for you, not less. Donald Trump and his approach over the past 3 years in office has made no sense to me, because he has been playing a game of subtraction. He has boiled down his support. He continues to boil down his support to the most hardcore people. And this does not seem to be the workings of a shrewd politician. It seems to be the workings of a one-trick pony who can only do one thing. And that one thing has made him the only president to never cross the 50% threshold in approval ratings. What do you think?
Yeah, it's sort of, remember the last scene of Scarface? This is the Scarface strategy, right? He's up there by himself. And and I'm making light of it a little bit, but I don't mean to, because what he's doing, to go to your point, and to go to something Gene said, is what he's doing is absolutely trying to, and I use this word advisedly, he's purifying his support. And I know that's a contentious thing to say, but let's just be honest here. What else is it? He was actually quite clear and coherent yesterday. And this wasn't, to go to Senator Tillis's point, this wasn't a tweet. This was a president of the United States standing on what I think was the north lawn of the White House, going on at great length about how duly elected constitutional officers should leave. That's not a passing thing. And the one thing we know he understands is ongoing survival in terms of attention getting, which is now late in his life turned into power getting. And the one thing I would say to him, if we had any opportunity here, and what I would say to the folks, because one thing he said that was right is the voters will decide, is we don't build monuments to people who close doors. We build monuments to people who open them. And because, to go to a phrase you've used, because he's a political day trader and he's become now a racial day trader, they're not going to build monuments to him.
Yeah, and they're not going to vote for him. I mean, he is not going to, he'll never get to 50%. This is This is a bad political move. And of course, nobody's advising him to do this. He's doing it.